Welcome to the Psych Gym. Let's hit the weights. Hello again. I am very excited today to talk to you about resolutions. This episode is going to come out right before the new year, and I want y'all to be thinking about this. The idea of resolutions never seems to go away. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I just think that sometimes we're not very thoughtful about it, right? Like we're not very intentional about it. Or the thought that we have about it is definitely like a little bit negative and maybe self-judgmental. And so I was like, hey, let's chat a little bit about how you can make these things work for you and really work for you. Because I think I don't know the statistics. Y'all know how I feel about statistics. Like unless you're talking to all 8 billion people in the world, like your sample size is not likely to be representative of the entire world. But anyway, a high percentage of people fail on their resolutions, on their goals, right? Their yearly goals. We don't even have to call them resolutions if you don't want to, right? Like it's just our yearly goals, our calendar year goals. For some people, the calendar year isn't how they follow or how they feel, different spiritual beliefs or even just, like the way that you realize your own personal cycle is. Right. Like for me, I like to do the new year thing mentally, right? Because I feel like, as I'm flipping my calendars and all of that kind of stuff, like I'm good with that. I do feel a little bit like when we hit solstice time is more when it feels that way for me. Like I feel a little bit more like when we're coming out of darkness into light, right? Like when the days start to get a little bit longer, even if it's, you know what I mean? Because it's not noticeably different for a very long time. But that feels like a shifting to me, right? Like, because it is a shifting, right? Like it's definitely like a swing in the other direction. But it doesn't really matter. Like I think that's the thing about it is that when we talk about resolutions, I don't want you to think about like, I got to make this thing right now and now and then all throughout the year, this is what I'm going to work on and that's it. Because I think too many people discount the fact that what you know today at the end of this year may not really stay true throughout the entire year of 2025. That would mean that we would have to be a little bit flexible, right? And so if we have to be a little bit flexible, why not do that from the start? Right? Why not actually sit down and think of multiple things that we feel like we want to put energy into versus the one problem about ourselves that we feel like we need to fix, right? Or something that we're not doing well, and so we have to do it better. I feel like that's too much of this talk at this time of year. And it's not enough about, okay, we're closing out this year. What do I want to create next year? What kind of things do I feel like I want to come to me this year? What things do I feel like I can accomplish because they're good for my life? How do I want to live? When I end this year coming up, what do I want to look back and feel? And of course, being what I do, I'm going to say things like that, right? Like, where people are like, I just want some hard and fast goals, Vanessa. Like, stop trying to make me feel. Stop trying to make me be like, all spiritually feeling. I'm sorry to tell you that you are a spiritual being, whether you want to be one or not, but you feel, you have feelings and they are tied to your life. And so I've sat down with enough people that I feel like this is a valid conversation to have with yourself of why am I making these goals? What energy am I actually bringing in here? Because let me tell you about energy. When you go at something with a negative connotation, you're going to continue to look for the negative, right? So if I say, and weight loss is the easiest thing to because so many people talk about it, right? If I say I got to lose 20 pounds this year, that's my New Year's resolution is to lose 20 pounds. Guess what you're going to do to yourself all year long until you've lost those 20 pounds? You're going to feel negative about yourself. And if it takes a little bit of time, you're going to keep feeling negative about yourself. And when you feel negative about yourself, you're not tending to do positive things, right? Or if you are managing, you're managing and it's a struggle and you're hating it. And it's something that feels very like I'm not worthy as a person until I achieve it. And Lord have mercy, we are throwing that out. If there's something we're going to give up, right? Like I used to participate in Lent, and there was like the giving up, and every year I used it as something that I felt was a vice. I would go without the vice for that amount of time to try to break myself of habits that weren't good for me, right? Like that I felt like, okay, this is something that it was a spiritual test for me, right? Like to just kind of be like, you don't need that. You don't need that. It's a choice. You're choosing that. And when you choose it, it needs to be intentional versus something that you feel like just keeps happening. So that's a great way to come at a resolution, right? Like, hey, there's some habits that I'd like to break because I see that they're not helping me achieve what it is that I want to achieve. And then we got to look at why we want to do it, right? So I'm just going to keep with weight loss because I feel like it's such a big deal for a lot of people. So if my goal is like, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, I'm going to make up like all these crazy plans. I'm going to look up everybody else's plans for how they lost 20 pounds. And I'm going to try to fit my life into theirs and be that person because I know that they were successful, right? That's my thought process. How many times does that work for people? How many times does that work for people in the long run? And how many times are people doing that because they feel so unworthy of whatever it is that they want on the other side of those 20 pounds that they legitimately don't believe that they can have whatever's on the other side of those 20 pounds until they lose it. They will not be worthy of A, B, or C. Love, companionship, bathing suits, whatever it is that you feel is on the other side of that. That's negative. If you are like, I'm going to lose 20 pounds because I want to be healthy. I want to be around for my kids. I want to be able to run with my kids. I want to be, like, that's great. That's why that's what I'm talking about, right? That's what I want you to do because you're correlating weight with health. But during that journey, you're usually going to see all the other things that actually are health, right? Theoretically, right? Like that's theoretically, because there's so much that goes into health. So what I would rather, and I'm not shitting on you if you want to lose 20 pounds, that's fine. I don't care. It's your body, it's your life. But I would rather have it be spoken to yourself as something like that. Like I want to change the way that I nourish my body so that it's very easy for me to lose the 20 pounds and keep it off, right? Because I might not know how the 20 pounds got here. That's really important to know. And I need to know why I want to lose those 20 pounds. So if we do all of that work rather than just slapping on a resolution, we deepen our connectivity with the thing that we're trying to achieve as a goal versus a failure if we don't achieve it, right? And that's really truly what I want. And I also want everybody to be, when we talk about goals, I want you to know that there's multiple goals along the way that help you get there, right? So if you want to lose 20 pounds, I want you to think of little steps along the way that are going to help you get there, right? So in order to lose 20 pounds, what do I have to do? I have to do something different with my diet. I don't want to say fix or change. I just want to say do something different, right? Because I might have discovered that I think the reason why I put on 20 pounds was because I went hard on the sweets, right? Like, and we know that the sugar and the glucose and the, like we know that, like this super obvious, right? I went heavy on the sweets. So, but I like sweets, man. I don't want to give them up. Okay, what are some healthy alternatives? That's going to be part of my focus is switching that around so that I can still have like some things, but then I also want to find new things that I've never heard of before, right? Like when I discovered dates, I was like, this is blowing my mind, right? Like I'm eating like protein bars that are like super sweet and feel like I shouldn't be eating them. And it's literally just because I'm eating dates, right? Right? Like, okay, like figs, like things that are like kind of naturally sweet, I'm like, that's very interesting that I never equated those things. But I want that to be more of your process. So I guess that's where I'm trying to bring up some actionable things that you can connect to that will help you reorganize the way that you do your resolution this year. Also, when we're talking about, say, weight loss, like what are our milestones that we're going to celebrate? Add that ahead of time, y'all. Add it ahead of time. My first pound, what's my celebration going to be? And no, it's not going to be ice cream, right? Because I just told myself like the sweets were how this happened, right? So I'm going to think of something else. I have a whole mindset shift that I want to do because I'm understanding that I have to do a whole mindset shift. So that means I'm going to try to come up with an alternative for everything just to see what happens, right? Like I want to know what I don't know. I want to be curious about this entire process versus being very pointed and aggressive and negative about this process. That's why so many people fail, y'all, is because it's such a negative process. The people who succeed, don't they look happy? Don't they look glad that they're taking care of their bodies? Right? Most of them who succeed and stay in success, there's something that they connect to along the way that makes them really enjoy this, really enjoy the way that they feel. That's not accidental. That is on purpose. That's something you have to choose to do, or else you won't feel it, right? So there's a lot of self-talk that has to change. So if I'm saying this is my resolution, I have to say, how do I support my resolution? What are the steps that I need to take, all the steps in between today and the goal? And how do I make them as realistic as possible for the person that I am? If I am 1,000% sedentary and then I decide I'm going to hit the gym 5 days a week, very low percentage of people that stay that way and enjoy their lives enough to stay that way, right? Because you'll do it, you'll lose the pounds, and then you won't want to do it anymore because you don't love it. You didn't do it because you love it, and you forgot to love it along the way, so it didn't stick. Do things that make sense first and ramp up. It's a process. Every change that we go through is going to be a good change that we enjoy the process of if we allow it to process. If we decide to start crashing into stuff and doing everything with negativity and beating the shit out of ourselves because we're not doing it fast enough or hard enough or clear enough or whatever, better, best, we're not going to do it happy. And the whole point of our lives is to kind of enjoy it, right? We're kind of coming to that conclusion. We're supposed to be enjoying our lives, but yet we continue to do things like this, which are negative goal setting based on things that suck about you that you need to change, and then continuing to use that energy to try to think that you're going to make yourself happy with it. You can't make yourself happy with negative energy. Right? Like when I say it out loud, I feel like it's like, that's ridiculous. That's not what I'm doing. Listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. One of the things that people don't like doing in the counseling space is when I say like, all right, listen, I want you to talk to me about how many times you said negative things about yourself, all the negative things about yourself. Like every time I tried to do this, people were like, I didn't even do it because I know, I hear it, I see it. Like now that I'm conscious of it, I get it. I hear what you're saying. All day long, I'm these little digs. The way that I'm bringing negativity into my day, like way more often than I know. And I'm like, great. So we're just going to replace that with something different, neutral or better, right? So instead of, shitting on yourself all day or being like, oh, you fat ass, you want to eat again. And I'm intentionally saying it that way because that's what I've heard people say. And I'm like, you cannot say that to yourself and think you're going to feel good about what you're doing. Are you kidding? That's not nice. That's not good energy. That's not going to make you feel good. What you should do in that moment, what would be great for you to do in that moment is say, am I really hungry right now? Why would I be hungry right now? Have I been burning more calories today? Did I eat enough food today? Am I feeling empty? Am I feeling lonely? Am I feeling tired? Like what's going on that I'm feeling like I want to eat something right now? right? I just want to be curious because I'm trying to learn about myself so that I can change habits that haven't served me well. It's a whole different story, and you're going to go on a whole different journey if you attach yourself to that way of speaking. But that takes time, it takes practice. That's the muscle memory that we're trying to create, right? When I have a reaction that I would say something negative in the past, I want to learn how to say something neutral or positive over and over and over so I can strengthen that muscle, so I can strengthen that pathway in my brain that is understanding and curious about me and not just judgmental. So there it is. I hope that helps you with your New Year's resolutions. If you want to drop them wherever you see this, if you want to, kind of record it in like in writing somewhere, wherever it is that you're listening to this, putting it out into the ethers in writing. I think that that's great. And I would love to hear them. I love always to see what people want to achieve for themselves because it's beautiful. I love the idea of people just kind of wanting to grow and wanting to experience things that are different. So that's it for this episode. If you have any suggestions about episodes, also drop that below because I can always use some help with what it is that y'all are looking for. And if you need a little bit of support over the course of anything that you're trying to work on with yourself, you can definitely send me a message or hit up the website and we can put something on the books. Happy New Year. Love y'all. Thanks for listening. To learn more about what I do and how to work with me, head to thepsychgym.com to check it out. Keep lifting, y'all. It's worth it.